Lebo Lion.
Yes.
I'm really honored to meet you officially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honored to sit down with you. You're one of the purists in terms of podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
We're like Oma Figizolo, and it's one of the things you've mentioned before that we kind of hijacked podcasting and then we made video and we called it podcasting and it's vodcasting, and you're like, why? I'm honored to meet you. How are you doing? How have you been? How's the year been treating you?
I'm good, Penuel. Thank you for having me here. It's been a long time coming.
Really?
No, really, it has. I was on Twitter the other day.
Yes, man.
In my DMs. And I saw a message from you from like 4 years ago. And I was like,
you've been ghosting me.
I haven't been ghosting you. I just don't open Twitter DMs. I really don't like the DMs.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of people think DM means date me.
How?
And that's not what it means. So I don't want to be shelled out in the DMs. So I just ignore my DMs, to be quite honest with you. But literally, like, full circle, right? Like, now you have a podcast and I'm on your podcast.
Thank you.
It's exciting. Thank you for having me here.
When did you see the DM?
A few weeks ago.
And you responded, of course?
No. Still won't respond.
I think we can shut down the podcast, guys. Thank you very much. It's cut. For people that may not know you, your full name, because people are asking me if your surname is actually Lion.
Yes.
It'd be pretty dope. Your full name, your upbringing, where you come from.
So, I'm a marketer by profession. And I always use my life as an example of how you can use marketing to do great things. So I'll never share my full name on my ID with anybody. Right? If I had to tell you, I'd have to shoot you. And we want you to live, Penuel. The nation loves you. So
why are you hiding your surname? Are you a Mandela?
Never. I'm not a Mandela, but I'm not hiding it. I'm just pushing the brand. This is my business. This is my brand, Lebo Lion. And I'm proud to have built it to this level. So that's my name, Lebo Lion, for the purposes of everything we do online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's home? How did you grow up?
So I'm a Joburg girl. I literally born and bred in Joburg. I literally from grade 0 all the way to varsity, I've been in Joburg.
Where in Joburg?
I first started off in Vosloorus.
Okay.
Then I lived in Diep Kloof. Then we moved to the burbs.
Yeah, Vosloorus.
Yes.
I wanted to say something inappropriate about women from the East Rand. But I will not.
No, tell me, please. I've heard so much. I hear things about women from the East. I hear things about vendor women because I'm vendor.
Okay.
I hear things about smart women. Apparently, we're problematic.
You also fall in that category?
Apparently. Next I didn't know
until
I was
in
told.
The East, we know. The smart as well?
Ah?
No, I'm asking. Angazi.
You should know.
Oh. What have you heard about women from Egoruleni?
That were very friendly.
Oh, that doesn't sound nice.
Yeah, it's not very nice.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to say that.
That's what I was told.
So I've dated 2 ladies.
Okay.
From Egoruleni. 2, and then there's one I almost dated.
Oh.
I don't like speak about my dating portfolio, but...
It's a whole portfolio.
Both of them were hyper independent.
Mm-hmm.
Very ambitious. I think people from the East are very ambitious. You guys almost have... You guys are almost like not from Joburg in the way that you guys hustle, which is quite interesting for me because it's us normally from small towns or from far away that come here like ambitious, and we always think you guys are complacent.
Yeah.
But people from the East almost have that same hunger, which is pretty dope. But hyper independent, very stubborn. Very stubborn and struggle in relationships.
Well, it's like you've been stalking me for the past 10 years, but you've got it right.
Struggle in relationships?
We do.
Why?
Because we're hyper independent, right?
Okay.
And we're not going to let a man tell us what to do and how to do it. Like, I'm all for being loved. I'm all for partnership.
Okay.
I'm all for compromise, but don't try to change me. Because I worked very hard to get you.
Are you planning to get married one day?
No.
That's a flat no.
No.
At some point you had a wish.
Never. I've never even imagined having a wedding dress. I've never imagined my wedding. It's never been something I've thought of.
Do you think it has something to do with maybe your family structure?
No, so people always think that, right? But I come from a family where I'm vendor, first of all, and I think that's important because vendor people love family. We value the family structure.
Very traditional.
Very, very traditional, and I'm about that. And I have 2 parents. They're both alive. They're both still married.
Beautiful.
They treat me like I'm 10 years old. Like I come from a household where my parents, and I say this all the time, my parents want to be my parents.
Yeah,
some people have parents who don't want to be their parents or they're not owned by by their parents. My parents own me. They would wear a t-shirt with my face on it and my sister's face, if they could. So they're happy and proud to be parents. Yeah. And I come from a very healthy household, to be honest with you. This is how I'm so outspoken and independent, because we were taught that at home.
Okay.
So I have no reason to hate marriage.
Who broke your heart? Who ruined it for the whole world?
No one broke my heart. I just think my whole thing has been reimagining the world.
Okay.
And from a young age, I've always wanted to do things the way I want to do them, not to be better than anybody else or to prove a point, but just to enjoy it in a way that I feel like I want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to be married to enjoy life or love, right? I can have a long-term partner. That's okay with me.
You believe in that?
I believe in that.
Okay.
I believe in commitment. I believe in monogamy, but I just don't think I have to be married to do those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if he was super rich, like Patrice, and there's a chance that if he does foul things, you'll make bank?
It's very interesting because I don't want to answer this and sound arrogant, but, the men who've loved me have loved me, and they've been very good to me without me having to do much. Yeah. So even if I were to date someone super wealthy, I think he'd still leave me something.
How?
I'm not even joking.
Okay. I don't know if you want to give a shout out to your schools that you went to.
No.
Not at all.
No, I love the schools, but it's a no. I can't give them a shout out.
I had a guest on my other platform, the Penuel Show, and he was like, I don't want to give them the spotlight because they didn't build me. And I always hear people say, I want to send a shout out to my high school or to my boss. It's like, nah, I don't want them to get that credit.
So for me, it's not a credit thing, right? But I do understand, and this is a very weird conversation that I have online with people.
Yeah.
They'll say, oh, Lebo tweets all this marketing stuff or she shares this stuff. She's like a walking textbook. And I'm like, I'm really not a walking textbook. And everything I know comes from experience in conjunction with whatever I might have read wherever, right? Too many people give credit to education where it's not due. Honestly. Like, just because I went to a private school doesn't mean I'm smart, because I went to a private school. And I'm not even ashamed of it, because that's another problem that we have in this country. When you say this, people make so much assumptions, and the first thing they want to do is hate you and judge you. Yeah. And I keep saying to people, but you are working hard to take your kids to those very schools that you're judging me about going to. So let's just shift our perspective here and stop projecting whatever we felt like we had to get from our childhoods, right? Yeah. And nobody has a perfect childhood. Yes, I had good parents, but we still have our own issues and struggles. This is why I go to therapy, because I believe like I have to work on myself and whatever I might think I might have experienced back in the day. But what happens is, when you speak about the schools you've gone to, especially if it's a private school and you're black, people believe that the school made you.
Yeah, that is
they
true.
think you're smart because you went to a private school. You can do this because there's so many people at private schools who are not smart.
Correct.
Right? Who, if they had to be in any other environment, would fail dismally.
Yeah.
And the only reason why they're able to get into varsity or get into anything is because of the private school they went to. They use that name to get into rooms. Yeah. But on their own as human beings, it's nothing special. I'm not dogging them. I'm just saying the school does not make you. The environment can nurture whatever you choose to be.
Sure.
And I was always curious. I was always hardworking. Remember, with Venda, you can't come home with funny marks on your report card. You can't come home and be chilling. I don't know what it is to chill.
Yeah.
I started chilling in my 30s. Like, I'm 33 now. After 30, I started to consider the idea that I can chill sometimes. I've been working my entire life, right? I always had to work. I always had to earn everything I had. I wasn't a prefect by mistake. I wasn't head girl in junior school by mistake.
Yes,
I wasn't all these things by mistake. I earned them. I worked very hard for them. So the fact that I can just easily articulate myself with whatever I think up and I design this life comes from hard work and, sacrificing when I needed to. Like, I left all my friends. I used to have this big squad of friends when I was in varsity. I'm not friends with one person from that squad now, because there was a point where I realized that if I want to get to the next level, I can't be friends with these people.
Bible.
And there's nothing wrong with them. Some of them are doing amazing things in corporate. They're doing amazing
things.
Ones, they're not my day ones. They were great for that time. But I believe I'm called for different things, and they can't come with me on that journey.
Shout out to your parents. It sounds like they instilled the work ethic, because you're emphasizing vendor, so I can assume it's your parents. I find it interesting that you dropped your age. A lot of women are very not into that.
Yeah.
But you seem confident in, it's my age, so what?
Yeah, I can't hide it. Someone will Google it. I mean, there's really nothing. Age is a number, and I think we have to start teaching women and men to embrace women outside of just the age thing. People use age to weaponize. They weaponize age with women, right? Oh, you're this age, or you. That's why you know so much, or that's why you don't do this. It's like, no, I'm that age, and that's all it is. That's all it is.
Do you think women don't share their age because of potential insecurities? Because of people potentially weaponizing their age?
I think we've been socialized to think that the older you are, the less valuable you are.
And you disagree?
As women, I disagree. How can you be less valuable when you're smarter, you're wealthier, you're probably a nicer person because you know yourself more? How could you be worth less? It makes no sense to me.
It's because of biology and nature.
No, thank you.
And the things that most men want. So most men don't care about your smarts, don't care about your money. They tend to care about your body and more specifically your ability to carry their seed.
Yeah.
And there's this term of high-risk pregnancies for women over
35.
Over 35. Yeah. So the closer you get to that age, that's when men start doing things like, you're a bit old, Siswami.
Yeah.
On the opposite end, if you're 21, guys then look at you like, she doesn't know anything. She's young, obviously, and dizzy.
So weaponizing our age either way, we're not good enough.
You seem to have not necessarily a bias against, but you seem to not see the hype on private schools to a point where you're like, look, a person can be dope regardless of where they went. Maybe the private school will help them get somewhere. But outside of that, if you're dumb, you're dumb. If you're smart, you're smart. If you're hardworking, you're hardworking.
If you have the impetus to build the life that you want, you've got it.
Yeah.
It's not given to you because you go to a private school. I think it's innate. I think it's something that it just happens when you're sitting alone. There's a voice that says, keep going. I've been through so many tough things, but I just keep going. I can't tell you why, Penuel. Like,
because of the private
literally,
school, duh.
No, you're funny, but no, it's not that. It's literally like anything. You can leave me in the desert, okay? And I could be looking for water, I have no shoes. Somehow you will find me. When you find me, I will know somebody important. I will have found people who will help me. That's just my nature. Yeah. I'm not just a survivor. I want to thrive. And that's always been who I am. So it's got nothing to do with private schools.
Are you like a hustler? Is that like why the lion?
I can hustle. I'm a
hustler.
Is that
why the lion?
No, actually, the lion was more about teaching, especially women, but not just women, that they need to have the audacity and the courage to live life the way that they want to. Okay. I think lion speaks for itself. The word lion speaks for itself. And the assumptions people make about that word are usually very positive assumptions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Courageous, brave.
Yes.
You moved from Vosloorus, went to Diep Kloof.
Yeah.
Which is a uppity.
It's an uppity suburb.
Suburb in Soweto.
It is. Look, we always had academics in my family. So people are either lawyers or CAs or whatever.
Shout out to your family.
And vendor. It's vendor people. It's the vendor thing.
I know some vendor people, but
look, it's ingrained in our culture. Look, and I think every time I have this conversation, people want to be so judgmental about it and they don't even understand the backstory, right? So my dad, because he loves to tell us stories about his past or whatever, his mom used to pick lemons in a farm owned by an Afrikaans man. That's how she fed all of them. He had 6 siblings.
That's dope.
She used to pick lemons.
Yeah.
Then his dad, also hustler, I think that's where I get it from, started with him. My grandfather, he found a way to open a tuck shop in the village. And so that was my dad's first experience of entrepreneurship. And he became an entrepreneur too, my dad. He tells me about how they walked from vendor to here and they had to hitchhike and they didn't have shoes. When Rosebank first opened, he used to be one of the guys who parked the trolleys at Rosebank. Okay. Right? Like, we're always
Rosebank
taught.
At the mall?
Rosebank at the mall. Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently, when it first opened, he used to be one of the guys parking the trolleys.
That's a great
and he
story.
still went to Wits. And he was studying whilst he was doing that because who was going to give him the money? Yeah. But for some reason, his generation in the family, everybody found a way to be able to take their kids to private schools, to be able to open businesses, to be able to become highly qualified individuals. How? You know what I mean? It's that spirit of we're determined, we're hustlers. The world won't give you anything. You have to work for it. And it doesn't matter what you have today, could be gone tomorrow. So don't become complacent. You know, life is life. If you've got it within you, no one can take it away.
Do you look at girls that don't share your ethos in a funny way?
No.
That are just like, oh, no, I mean, a man must take care of me. I must not struggle. No ways.
I would love for a man to take care of me, but I think I'd get bored. Right?
So you see
I don't
wrong
judge it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If you want a man to take care of you, it's your choice. It's your preference of life. Like, do you? I'm doing me.
Yeah.
What I find is that those kinds of women tend to judge women like me.
Okay.
You know, and they think that we're overly masculine, that we don't know ourselves because we're trying to be men. That's the stereotype that we get a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Like, anybody who's dated me knows that I'm a big baby when I'm with them.
Okay.
But in everything else that I do, I'm Lebo Lion, because that's honestly who I am. I'm not making it up. Yes, this might be a brand name, but I am a hustler. I'm a person who works hard and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I find a lot of fulfillment from it.
Shout out to your dad, man. I wish we could spend time on your mom as well, because I can imagine she's amazing, because you mentioned them in the same bracket.
She is. Her story is very quick. She also grew up in a lot of poverty, had to do a couple of things to get by, but she ended up being a cleaner. She used to clean the toilets at one of these big banks, and now she's doing very well at that big bank.
I'm trying to imagine what this does to your mental state and your mental strength.
Yeah.
Listening to the story of your father hitchhiking, parking trolleys. I don't even know if it's called parking trolleys, and managing to build himself into something, and your mom the same. Because, you know, people maybe come to you, they look at you, they're like, this girl is whatever, and you're like, I don't think you guys understand the type of material I actually come from.
Yes.
And how many times maybe, let's say for example, you see someone hustling, doing something minor, or some people look at you and they're like, yeah, you might not have this money, and you're like, my mom used to clean toilets and my dad parked trolleys, so
Yes.
I don't think I'm meant to fear anything.
Yes.
And at the same time, maybe look at some of the guys who park trolleys now, and some of the women who clean, like, with a different eye.
I mean, it just teaches me that no one is immune to failure or success. Like, it can happen to anybody. And it also teaches me to not undermine people, right? Because when people rise, they tend to undermine the people who they think are below them.
Correct.
And I think that comes from maybe childhoods where they didn't feel seen or important or heard or whatever the case may be. So when they have a little bit of power, they want to exert it on other people.
Sure.
I don't live like that, because I understand that life is so dynamic and you never know where you're going to land. And I've also received the most help from people who are not on the same level as me. I don't know how else to put it, but in the way that people see things. Like, oh, how can a receptionist help you?
Yeah.
You know, but you get more help from those people when you want to access spaces than you do from the CEOs and the CMOs or whatever the case may be. So you do need to be humble and don't pretend it. Like, be who you are, because people can feel it. If you're faking it, they're gonna feel it. And I think also what it does is it keeps you teachable, because you understand that you can learn from anybody. Like, I just know what I know. I don't know everything, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy to learn from other people. And I'm also not afraid to stand for what I stand for, because I'm not going to die if somebody doesn't like what I have to say. If we're being genuine in our engagement, I'm sure we can find a way to see each other as people, post the conversation or post the engagement or whatever the case is. So I also think, because my parents had that background, I don't feel the need to show off anything I have.
Sure.
Like, they are just things. It's a car, it's a house, it's a whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to tell people, I made R1 million on this deal. Like, I find that so cringe. But I get why people do it. I'm not that person. Okay. If people want to think I'm poor, it's fine. If they want to think I'm rich, it's fine. That's not where my headspace is.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. And my parents don't encourage it, and they don't celebrate it. Like, if I had to come home with a rich old man, they'd be like, Zamaya, bye-bye. You're embarrassing us.
But I love him.
No.
And he's rich.
No, you're a child. Like, I believe in dating people within my age range, because that's what should happen. You should have an equal partnership with your person. You know, there shouldn't be such a big power dynamic between you, because that's how abuse happens. So my parents would never celebrate me just because I'm with a rich old man. They'd be like, no, this is a grandpa. What are you doing? What did we do in your childhood that you feel like you have to date someone this old? You should enjoy your life and your youth. So, no, I'm not in a rush to prove anything to people.
Do you guys still visit Venda?
Yes.
During holidays, those kind of things, visit extended family?
Like twice a year, 3 times a year.
Okay.
And then funerals, you know.
I hear you.
Weddings.
The psychology of you leaving your varsity friends, Because at face value, it seems like, oof, I'm better now. I want to move to the next level, and these guys are holding me back. But it almost sounds like you're not saying that.
No, they were not holding me back, but being friends with them required me to be a version of myself that I couldn't be if I wanted to achieve whatever I was trying to achieve at the time.
But you were fine with being that version at some point.
Yes, it served me. It served a purpose at the time.
What was that version? I'm imagining a girl in varsity now. That's whoever you were. And you're like, look, guys, just please understand, you guys are great friends now. Yeah. It's a phase.
Yes.
There will come a time, unfortunately, it may be painful, where you guys will have to assess that, look, I think we're moving in different directions, whether it's spiritually, whether it's ambition, whether it's the type of partners you want to have, or maybe you guys don't want to party. And it's like, at that point, you'll have to assess and introspect. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then I decided on this. What was that version, and what's this I think we kind of know this version now. What was that version then?
I think when people look at me, they assume that I was probably like a nerd and I was a good girl. And look, I am a nerd. Inherently, I am a nerd.
But not a good girl.
But I partied in varsity, right? I worked hard, but I partied.
Yeah.
Because if you're a hustler, your modus operandi is to get to know people and to know spaces. So for
That's a
me,
red flag. Do you know that?
Is it?
I normally tell young guys that be careful of ambitious girls.
Yeah.
Especially in places like Joburg.
Well,
but please carry on.
Yeah. So I would like go to parties because I wanted to meet people. I was like, if I go to a party, I might meet somebody who can help me get into this, or somebody who can teach me about this, or somebody, because I used to sell T-shirts. I sold many things in varsity. Like when you say hustler, I really was that girl. Like every year I'd find different products to sell at O Week. So having a good network helped because they'd allow you to push your things, right?
And shout out to every girl in tertiary who is not too proud to hustle.
Yes.
Too many girls are like ashamed and proud and they want guys to buy them drinks.
Thank you.
And I remember some of the girls, I normally reference Nicolette Mashile because we were at Rhodes together. And at some point we hosted house parties and from back then, I think she either had a company or she was involved in coaching netball at schools. She helped us push tickets. Like she was always,
yeah.
And you realize for some girls, it's like, oh.
Yeah, I think once you understand what independence feels like, you won't allow yourself to not be busy with something that gives you power over yourself.
Sure.
Right? And that's what hustling does. I don't have to go ask somebody to give me the contact of somebody. I get it now. I've worked with that person, so they'll give me their time or their energy or whatever the case is. Sure. From the point, like I used to be in a band in varsity, okay? Because I played the saxophone, I sing, whatever. I have a very big creative side to me. Thank you.
You still sing now?
Sometimes, but it's not something that I take very seriously.
But you must sing.
For what?
For art's sake?
I'll do it at home.
You don't have to do it at home?
We'll see. But for now, I'll do it at home. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
So I remember
about it. Like art is expression.
It is.
You should never feel ashamed of your expression because it's not in a certain package for the world. And you may find that your expression is something that someone else was just waiting to hear. So just think about it.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
And the saxophone.
And the saxophone. So, and I even used to write for a few artists. Like I had a life, guys. I've always had a life.
You used to write music.
I used to write music, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, like I know Bovusi Ndlovu, all those producers, I know them because I used to be in studio with them. So when I was in this band in varsity, the band was from Cullinan. You know, Cullinan, far away, Pretoria. Yeah. But they found me, I found them. We decided to work with each other. And we used to perform in taverns. So I used to drive from here all the way to Cullinan to perform in taverns on a Saturday or a Sunday. And I remember the one time something happened at the tavern and the guy who owns the tavern needed a bartender because the person wasn't there.
Yeah.
And we had like hours before we were performing, so I just volunteered. And I ran the bar at this tavern and I made so much money in tips. Like it was insane. And this guy said to me, I don't know what you want to do with your life, but anything you do, you're going to win because you just have no shame.
I see your
Literally,
future.
I have no shame. I can sell at the Robot.
Yeah.
Like I have no shame with selling, no shame with working. And that's why I don't like to play into the stereotype of because I've achieved something, I'm going to wear a suit and I'm going to, because that's going to make it hard for me to sell. It's going to make it hard for me to just try things and fail today, succeed tomorrow. It's not that deep. So I have no shame. I will do anything if I feel like it's going to help me learn something or I just want to do it.
I appreciate the go-getter attitude.
Yeah.
So you're partying You're in a band.
Partying.
I'm trying to figure out these friends that you had to leave behind. Is
No,
it because
they were incredible.
You met them just at the partying, but not at the hustling?
No. I met them from first year.
Okay.
And some of our parents knew each other. Some of them went to my high school or sister schools or whatever. So it's not like a bad network of people. These people's parents are important. It is what it is. It's just that every crew has a way that they want to function.
Yeah.
And they have a way that they like to do things. And sometimes when you prescribe to a group mentality, you cannot individualize.
You're right.
And you can't succeed with people on your back. You can't succeed with the group. You have to do it on your own. So that's why I stopped being friends with those people, because to be friends with them... No.
Sorry, to be friends with them?
No, they weren't hustlers. So to be friends with them meant that I would have to still subscribe to that group mentality. Yeah. And that wasn't going to work for me.
Groupthink was a big term that myself and my mates from Rhodes had. Mm-hmm. And most of them are still very close-knit. Mm-hmm. I've been to some of their weddings. When life has been a bit sideways for them, I've been there. But over the last maybe 5 years or so, our friendship has kind of, drifted. Our friendships have drifted. And it was very difficult for me. I was one of those naive kids growing up that assumed that once you make a friend, it's for life. I also didn't know there were haters until I got to varsity. I probably had haters in high school, but I wasn't aware. And there were people that hated me just for being myself. Yeah. So the fact that you play sports or you sing or whatever, and it's just like, that guy's so annoying. And you're like, really? Just for existing? And some of the greatest networks and friendships we make are during tertiary. And most people will tell you that those are going to be your friendships for life. And I think I assumed that as well. And it got to a very sad point where I've always made noise on social media. I was big on Facebook. I used to write. I used to be very controversial. People think I'm controversial now. I'm very mild. And at some point, I'd post stuff in our WhatsApp group as mates, and they'd be like, "We're not your Facebook friends. Why are you?" And I was like, "What?" And in some of the conversations we had, I started picking up that I think guys are having conversations by themselves without me, and it's almost like I'm frustrating the group brand. Mm-hmm. And that's that whole concept of not being able to individualize. And it's an important conversation, not for today, but for kids that may actually, maybe even old people, who are actually so scared of expressing themselves, of trying something new, because but I don't want to let down the group. They're going to be like, "Oh, so saxophone manje wena." And I'm like, okay, sorry guys, I'm putting it away. Why you hang out with those people? There's also the cliques that, oh, we didn't like these people at varsity. All of a sudden, they're your mates now. We work in, let's say, for example, financial services. Oh, you're in entertainment now. We used to laugh at artists. And you're like, yeah, and it's sad. But I think it's part of growing up.
I think it's part of growing up if you're somebody who's meant to do big things. Oh. I think that if you're not meant to, the group thing is meant for you.
Sure.
And it's going to help you grow into whatever you need to become, right? Like you speak about people not liking you and you weren't even aware. That's my life, right? I was busy at school. I was so busy. I think school was a career for me. I was so busy from grade 6, grade 5. I was always doing sports. I did provincial sports. I did provincial hockey and swimming. And I was a public speaker. I was on a debate team. I did so many things. My mom used to bring me dinner at school at 7 o'clock. She'd bring me dinner because I'd be at school till 10 or 11 from a young age, right? Thank you. So I think for me, because I've always been somebody who clearly innately felt like I have to pursue something bigger than me, whatever, I just did it. And that's why I wasn't aware that people didn't like me the same way you weren't aware, because you were just self-actualizing. You're just pursuing that thing within you. And I also think that a lot of people don't have something bigger than themselves driving how they experience life. So they need other people to validate too much of who they are and what their environment is. Yeah. I am so stubborn. If I believe this room is pink, I'm going to believe it. Okay? And I'll get frustrated by people who don't see that it's pink. Yeah. So I'm not going to force myself to be around people who keep forcing me to see a black wall when I don't see one. Sure. And that's discomfort for me. So I don't want to be friends with people if it's uncomfortable for me, because it should be a joyous experience for me. And I think we give the energy that we feel, and we also feel what we receive. So if people don't like you, you're also going to feel some type of way, and you're also going to give a negative energy to them. You're not going to be a positive force in their lives anyway. So why are you there?
The pressure of being like high achiever in school, head girl in primary, prefect in high school, provincial sports, public speaking. Do you think that's a thing? Do you think it was a thing for you? Do you like, no, I don't want to let my younger self down? Do you think other kids might suffer with that, to be like, look, I was head girl, man. Like, I can't be mediocre.
Yeah.
And is that healthy?
It's not healthy, but it is a real thing. Yeah. I went to girls' schools my whole life. So from preschool all the way
from
to...
preschool?
Yes.
There's no girl preschool.
There are girl ones. I'm not even joking.
Really?
Seriously.
I've never seen one.
And all the way to matric, I was only at school with girls.
This was your parents' wish?
This was my
Keep
parents.
you away from boys?
Yes. But
dope. Shout out to the parents.
So when women are around women and you are put in schools that try to teach you how to survive this world that is patriarchal and doesn't make things easy for women to do, they do kind of push you need to work hard, you need to be the best, you can't slip, you can't da-da-da-da-da-da. But then I also came from a household where it was the same thing. Right? My aunt went from being a nurse at Baragwanath Hospital to owning many BP garages.
Jeez, shout out to your aunt.
You see what I'm saying? So
say your aunt should
even
become
if
my
I
friend.
was... No, she's passed away now. But the point that I'm making is, even at home, if I was to sit and breathe, it would be a problem. Do you get what I'm saying? So that
those are solid black households,
achieve was always... It was just the culture of my existence. My sister's the same. All of us are like this. There is that pressure. It's not healthy, because you do need to learn how to fail and to know that it doesn't define you or doesn't stop you from achieving in the future, and you don't have to punish yourself for that kind of stuff. So my therapist has a lot of girls who went to schools like mine as his clients now, and we're adults, and he says a lot of us suffer from depression and anxiety and self-harm because we don't know how to take life as it comes, because we want to control it, because we want to be so great, and we have to be so great, and when we're not, we don't know what to do with ourselves. So it's not healthy. You do need a good support system, and you need to get to know yourself so that you don't judge yourself when life happens.
You said his clients, it's a male therapist.
It's a male therapist.
Did you intentionally pick a male therapist?
Absolutely.
Why?
I think that I've got a very unique personality in the way that I was raised and the way that I see the world.
Sure.
So I'm very specific about the kind of ideologies I want my therapist to ingrain in me or to unearth in me. And I find that men tend to understand me better from in that field than women do, in my experience. I'm not saying women can't understand me. I'm just saying from my experience of different therapists, I found men to be better for me than women. And I find non-black therapists to be better for me.
Oh, he's not even black.
He's not even black.
Oh, God, jeez.
And it's funny because most of his clients are black girls from private schools.
Most of this white male therapist clients, colored male therapist clients
are black women.
Black women.
Yeah. Who come from, I guess, privileged environments.
So you get to tertiary and then all of a sudden it's boys everywhere.
Yes.
Hey.
It was so gross for me.
Gross.
It really was. Like, I was just like, what's going on here? This is so weird. They are weird. You guys are weird. If we're not used to you, it's very weird.
Did you realize how smart boys were?
Huh?
Did you realize how smart boys were?
I can't hear you.
No,
I think there's something wrong.
I'm sure my mic is very audible.
I can't.
So when I got to varsity, I've been at co-ed my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm very pro co-ed.
Okay.
I'm also very pro public. That's just me and my biases.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the boys' school boys in first year, they're just in class. Oh my gosh. And sometimes they'd see girls lifting up their hands and giving like smart answers, and they'd almost look gobsmacked. And I'd be like, what hole do you guys come from?
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to imagine like these girls, because girls' schools tend to do really well academically.
Yes.
So you guys are top achievers. Then you get to varsity, and there's Penzo. He's answering all the questions. Like, hey, what weird guy is this that's smart? You weren't shocked by seeing...
you guys are smart.
No, the thing is, we know men
are
smart.
Not on the onset.
But I mean, oh, you realize later.
We don't. We look at you, we're like, the way he's even answering it is not okay. Like, what is he doing? It's just... it's gross. Like, men are gross in the beginning. What? They're quite gross. When you get to varsity, that was
what
the
does
mentality.
That even mean?
It was just like, we don't have to speak to them. We're not here for that.
This is why you guys need therapy. Sorry, I'll take that back.
No, it's not why we need therapy. But I think I got to understand how men think.
Yeah.
And how they create when I got to varsity. Because we don't create the same way, men and women.
What does that mean?
And we don't build things in the same way.
Men build it really well? And
no. The route you take is different to the route we would take.
Or ours is straight.
No,
is like,
it's not. Men go all the way. It's like, to me, it's so illogical. I'm like, why must you choose that way when it could be simpler? I think women actually have simpler solutions than men.
Sure.
But I think men will jump first and then figure it out, whereas women will like research and plan, and then we do it.
Was it a pleasant adjustment though, to be in class with men, or were you like, for a while, or even for the whole, like, actually I wish they were like female only tertiary institutions.
They are. I found one.
Huh,
so my parents
asked
me to, we found them, but not in South
preschools.
Africa. They're in the States. They've got they've got female only universities.
And you approve of stuff like that?
Yes.
Why?
Because I think that the world teaches women to dishonor themselves in an effort to socialize, to be accepted into society.
You don't think men go through the same?
They might, but in a different way. Because the pressure is different. The way patriarchy nurtures them is different to how it nurtures us, So it's just different. And I think women need to be in environments that teach them, this is what it is to be a woman. This is how you find your power. This is how you use your voice. Someone has to teach you that. If I didn't have the parents I had or the schools I went to, I wouldn't have the confidence to say what I think.
But I mean,
because that's inherently dangerous. Yes, it does. And you learn how to coexist with men after you've learned who you are.
Isn't high school enough?
No one can shake you if you know yourself.
High school is not enough.
It's not enough. Like, I think every woman should always find a way to be in spaces with just women in every phase of her life. Like, even in your career, do you have a mentor, sponsor? You should have women in those positions, because they teach you strength. They teach you how to navigate through different rooms. And they also just teach you how to love yourself in the different phases, because you at 20 is not the same as 30 and 40.
Sure.
And life gets very hard. It's like, it's very weird to adjust as a woman as you get older.
Yeah.
So you need older women to teach you how to do that properly, or to do that in a way that honors you.
Do you have that outside of your male therapist?
Yes.
Strong women,
yes,
hopefully black, that can guide you as well?
Yes.
Okay. How did you get into marketing? What's marketing?
That's a good question. So because I've always been a hustler, and at home, we didn't go on holidays. We would work during the school holidays. We would work, like we'd go work at the different...
By choice or your parents?
I had no choice.
Okay, parents.
It was parents.
Okay.
They were like, we're not doing that. You're not white children. You're black. We're building here. Yeah. We're not here to chill on this earth. So we used to work at like the garage or the spaza shop, whatever, right? You'd have to go work. And I found myself always doing the marketing and selling stuff every time I'd be in the different things. So I realized, okay, this is something I'm good at, but I didn't know it was called marketing at the time.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to now, when I finished varsity, I started a company with 2 people who are a little bit older than me, but like 3-4 years older than me. They're both CAs. I'm the marketer. And they had a tablet. And they had it for like 2 years, but they didn't know how to sell it. So I said to them, guys, I don't want to go find a job. Let me do this with you. Let's try build it.
A tablet is the gadget, right?
A tablet, like a iPad.
Okay. Not pills. Okay.
No. Yeah, the gadget. So they said, okay, fine. Let's see what you can do with this thing. And I basically transformed that tablet into a valuable thing that we got to sell to a few corporates, and we ran pilot tests in schools because we designed educational software on the tablet, and also gave it the value. At the time, the government was rolling out paperless learning classrooms. So I saw that as an opportunity to position our tablet as something that's valuable in the education field.
Yeah.
And then we tested our software at different underprivileged schools in the township and in rural areas. It worked. So we got to present our stuff to a few important people in different companies. And that's when I realized that I'm actually pretty good at this stuff. Like a young black girl who's never worked in corporate, knew how to basically create a tablet from scratch and give it value and get people to want to buy it, that's a big deal. So I think I'm pretty good at this stuff.
You didn't study marketing at tertiary?
I went in CA stream.
Okay, you were studying accounting?
I was studying accounting. Okay. But yeah, I didn't finish with accounting, but I started with accounting.
So I'm pretty good at this stuff. I can market. What's marketing?
Marketing is the process of adding value to something that you want to sell to the market. That's it. It's not advertising, right? It's not selling. It's the process of adding value. So from my story, for example, I took a tablet that could have just been a random tablet in the market.
Yeah.
It's price sensitive because they all exist. It's ubiquitous, right?
Yeah.
There are many tablets out there. But what makes a tablet different to an iPad?
Yeah.
The brand.
Sure.
It's the marketing. It's that value. So your ability to add value to something, for a consumer to see it as something different to what it should be seen as, is the marketing, it's the value. Then whoever's responsible for selling needs to understand that value to sell it. Whoever's responsible for the advertising has to understand that value to advertise it.
Does the value have to be intangible? So if I get a tablet, I add software, which is pretty dope. Is that marketing, or is that just me being an engineer? Versus what you said, get a tablet, maybe put a nice Apple logo on it.
Yeah.
Must the value you're adding be intangible?
Value is always intangible. Value is
always
brand.
Intangible.
It's always intangible. Benefits are not always intangible, but value always is. So when you speak about putting the Apple logo, that's still a brand. That's still got some intrinsic value. We don't know why we love Apple.
Yeah.
Some people know, but you can't touch it. You can't feel that. Why is something you can't touch, feel? See, it's just something you feel, right? So it's intangible, but the benefits of the thing that you value can be tangible.
Marketing is not ukshaya. Like
No.
the ability to be slick with word and story, so that this goes from just being a bottle of water to this is water from the Swiss Alps. Which means saying akshaya manj, so that you can buy it.
They can't be shiring you because there are too many systems in place and bodies in place that try to stop people from lying about what a product really is.
Yeah.
So
Is it
our
ukshaya with the truth?
It's not ukshaya.
Okay.
It's about knowing how to communicate to your ideal customer, right?
Okay.
Like, if you're going to be in a bank and you want money from people in a bank, you're not going to speak the same way you would if you were in the NBA and you wanted to go to the NBA and ask them for money.
Sure.
That's the same thing. The way you communicate, position, package, all of those, the 7 P's of marketing, the marketing mix, all of that just helps you get seen by your right customer because you're speaking their language.
Sure.
It's not ukshaya.
What are the 7 P's? Besides Penuel, of course, Penuel at the top. And then the other...
Are you in the marketing mix?
I think nje mawubeka uPenuel nje kuba ivalue.
Amen. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I love it for you.
The 7 P's of marketing.
Oh my goodness. It's price.
Please say them slowly. Sorry.
Okay. Price, place, promotion, product, physical evidence, people, and I forgot the last one.
It must be Penuel.
I forgot the last one.
Price is a...
Did I say price?
Yeah, that was the first. So that's a part of marketing.
The marketing mix is a strategic framework that we use to basically do marketing on anything.
Sure.
Right? So those are the things you have to consider and work on in order to create a valuable product or service for the market. Your pricing, people think that accountants are responsible for pricing. No, marketers are responsible for pricing. In fact, there are even courses that people just take, for example, at like Harvard and stuff, where you just learn how to do pricing as a marketer. Right? It's a coveted thing because pricing is a big deal and it does change people's psychology, and you can see spikes in sales and brand value from the different pricing strategies that you have.
Buy 2 for the price of 1, get this for $2.99.
Yes.
That's marketing.
That's marketing.
Then you said product.
Yes.
Product is how good this thing is.
It's not just how good, because good is subjective, remember?
Yeah.
So we can't use good as a measure of anything.
Okay. So
because
what about
it's
the product?
subjective.
That it exists?
So firstly, that it exists.
Sure.
So from the product design, like, am I making a water bottle for sports guys?
Okay.
Maybe they're taking it as they're running, so it has to have a good grip.
So by
product
design,
design.
you're saying product design.
Yeah, product design, how you create the product, that is the product.
Promotion is these people give us
advertising,
samples.
social media, promoters.
Yeah.
Everything that people think marketing is falls into promotions.
Advertising.
Advertising,
Ads is promotions.
ads, social media marketing, PR, all of that promotions.
You mentioned physical evidence.
Yeah, physical evidence is when you show that a product actually exists, essentially. So that would be things like
Physical evidence is not about Verimark, not about glow mail with samples. If you spill water here,
no,
that's not that's promotion.
That's promotion.
Okay.
So physical evidence would be something like reviews from customers.
Okay.
It's
Testimonials.
Testimonials, yeah, that kind of thing that can be seen as physical evidence. Physical evidence is, I don't know, having a shop that has the thing. So it's just literally being able to prove that this thing exists.
Influencers fall between
Promotions.
physical evidence and promotion.
No, just promotions.
Because they are almost like a testimonial. We just don't know if they're being honest or not.
They're not a testimonial.
But that's what they're supposed to come across as.
No, they're not.
They're not supposed to come across as a testimonial. Like, I really love drinking this water.
No, because influencers, and this is where people get it wrong, brands go to influencers to have access into their community.
Sure.
Marketing, the operative word is market. What is market from an economics business sense? It's people.
Yeah.
It's the people you sell to. It's the stakeholders in the entire economy. So the marketing is responsible and concerned with people, getting access to the people who you sell things to. So when brands go to influencers, they want their market.
Yeah.
They don't care necessarily about the influencer per se. So they believe that if they see a Kifibu, for example, who's very contentious right now, they believe her
really
market
powerful.
they believe her market would be X people. Let's say women who do whatever. And this brand says, I think her audience is our customer, so we're going to collaborate with Kifibu because they trust her.
Yeah.
And if she uses our product, then those people will have interest and want to use that product as well.
Yeah.
So influencer marketing is more about brands tapping into an influencer's market and using credibility and association to get a customer to believe in a product more.
Price, product, we went through promotion, we went through place.
Yes.
What is that?
Where you sell it or where the thing is available, like a store, a website, where on the aisle you find the product. That's also place.
Because the good products are at the bottom and then the expensive ones are here in the middle.
Well, not the good. No, it's not the good. Usually the ones that don't, where they pay the least for placement will be at the bottom or at the top. But anything within the customer's eye view usually is where it's the most expensive real estate. Yeah, because it's the most expensive real estate.
Overpriced.
It's not overpriced. It's the most expensive real estate. And it depends on the product, right? Because it depends on who's shopping, what is their mindset when they're shopping, and who's responsible for the purchasing decision.
Yeah.
Kiddie's cereal, for example. Yeah. The child is the one who makes the suggestion to the mom. I see the cereal. I want the cereal.
The child is the
influencer, but the
market is the mom.
The mom is the one who makes the final decision.
So it must be at the child's eye level.
It must be at the child's eye level, and if possible, at a level where they can grab it.
Sure.
Because then it's hard for the parent to say no.
You guys are sneaky.
So that's human psychology.
Part of placement, I don't know if we're going to get to this, but the Americans are arguably some of the best marketers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of our top retailers in this country have all gone to America to go and study. Your Macros, I think it's Walmart bought them, but they were Massmart.
Mm-hmm.
Even the guys like ShopRite and stuff to understand. Placement includes things like the things that I need are going to be at the back of the shop so that I walk through all the other garbage I don't need.
Yes. Placement is those aisles. You know when you go to pay, have you ever noticed that if you go to a Dis-Chem or a Pick and Pay, they
Woolies,
never have all the teller people there?
Okay.
Right? It's because they need the lines so you can observe the stuff on the side so you can want to buy it.
Nonsense.
So that waiting time is marketing. Like literally, they trying to, recommend buy the chocolate.
Is that real estate for impulse buys?
Yes.
Also expensive?
Impulse buys, it is.
For us to pick up, it
is.
Actually, I'd like this chocolate.
It is because they're creating an efficiency in the store. If we're not going to have all the tellers so that the lines can move. So you guys intentionally
create traffic.
People don't get this. Like marketing and entrepreneurship, same thing. People think we find problems, but I think we create them. Honestly, that's what I think. I think we create problems or we identify things that could be identified as problems, and then we try to sell the solution or create a solution to it.
I think one of the most powerful forms of marketing is the location of your business.
Yes.
I think it's the reason why spaza shops, sadly foreign owned today, are so successful. Maybe the taxi industry, outside of the violence, it's the efficiency. Because there are so many young people that start businesses today. They create their corporate identity and their websites. And it's like, but for people to get to you is so far. Especially your biggest clients. Let's say you do contract work with a bank. The best place for your business to be based is to be like next to that bank. If possible, for the bank to give you a seat inside. So that you don't have to struggle and hustle. And in that way, even if they want to think about someone else, like, but they're 30 kilometers away. This person's here. I may as well buy from them.
Well, that implies that convenience is the greatest measure we use when we're picking people based on location. And I don't think that it is all the time.
Sure.
So convenience works because when people have impulse buys, rush buys, whatever they need to do, the quick stuff, they'll go to you. You're close.
Sure.
But when people have to spend on something they really, really, really value, they'll take time to find you.
Is that part of the experience?
Which experience?
I will travel all the way to so that I can tell people I bought this in Cape Town or in Italy.
And that creates value for some people.
Yeah.
Really. Like for some people, when things are not accessible, when it's hard to find, hard to buy, that's when they love the thing the most. That's when it's not so price sensitive.
Yeah.
But anytime something is easy to access, easy to purchase, very low cost, then you have to play with pricing because now you've put yourself a bit lower in the market.
Sure.
And what you're saying with your pricing is there are other people like me. There are many options out there.
Yeah.
The higher the price, the less you have competitors. So you're saying to people, there's not much like me out there, which is why I'm your best option.
I see you're online. You've mentioned people, packaging and process.
Yeah.
Apparently fall under the
packaging. Yeah, they do. They do packaging. So packaging is that stuff you spoke about, what the thing looks like.
Yeah.
Right? Packaging could even be...
box.
Yeah, it can be the box.
Yeah.
It can be the writing on the box. It can be...
is it not gift bags?
Yeah, those things.
Sometimes people go shopping just to carry those bags.
Yeah, it can be the bags, but it can also be the actual... Like this bottle packages the water.
Sure.
This is packaging for it. Do you get what I'm saying? So whatever it is...
some people package in glass.
Yeah, exactly. So packaging says a lot about a product's value. It informs pricing. It also informs place. Okay. So packaging is very important, and if you have to use it from a personal branding perspective, Lebo in a suit will be in a different environment to Lebo in Go Kwamaimai.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Wearing jeans and a top.
Sure.
So it's those kinds of things also inform value.
The last one they've got on that list, I don't even know if it's the right
process.
List. It's the first one that jumped up. Process.
That's the one I forgot,
What is process?
The process is how we do things.
Yeah.
Basically, how do you put this whole marketing mix together? What is the process of getting this to the customer?
Sure.
That's process.
I wanted to speak to you about the evolution of marketing, from flyers, I don't know, screaming.
Screaming.
Try this, samples. Today, Gary Vaynerchuk is one of the people that's very big on speaking about digital marketing, etc. in America.
Yeah.
Where now people are not looking at billboards. People are maybe not even listening. We're all here. Someone could be screaming. There could be a prize, but we're all here.
Yeah.
And your thoughts on the evolution of marketing? Is it good for us? Is it something that you feel we should be paying attention to? Maybe what is the future of marketing as well?
I think that's a really good question, and it's complex at the same time.
Sure.
Because evolution is also determined by culture.
Yeah.
So that's why the way they do marketing in the States won't be the way we do marketing here.
Yeah.
A lot of companies in South Africa only really did digital marketing and influencer marketing because of COVID. Before that, they were not that interested in this digital stuff because they believe in traditional media platforms and channels to advertise and do whatever that they do.
Do you think they're old or lazy, or it's because they don't want to shift the spending from their mates?
Maybe number 3 might be a possibility. But also I think it's fear. I think people are scared to learn new things.
Yeah.
And they're afraid that if they make a mistake, they're going to lose their job. So they want to do the tried and tested things, even though historically we've seen that these things don't bring the same ROI that digital can.
Yeah.
And it's more expensive to do those things.
Correct.
I won't mention the company, but there is a very well-known company that for 2 consecutive years, I think it was last year and the year before, got awards for best marketing, and 90% of their strategy was just having billboards around South Africa.
Isn't that like the
To
ANC?
me, no. It's not the ANC.
I ask in this context, a lot of new political parties keep trying to compete with the ANC.
Yeah.
And maybe some of them may be using newer models, TikTok accounts, Twitter.
Yeah.
Having personalities on Twitter, as an example, or Instagram. And the ANC is like, we will do food parcels, we will do door-to-door, we will do T-shirt.
Yeah.
And maybe these guys that keep winning these awards, number one, might be their mates again giving them the awards. But this is what's done. This is what the people are kind of used to. And this is what we know works.
So that's interesting, right? The fact that they won these awards for me is shocking.
Yeah.
It's just shocking because I'm like, that means our industry hasn't evolved the way it should be evolving for the time that we're living in.
Yeah.
Whether we like it, AI is here. We have other kinds of tech that are out there. They're going to take over the market whether we like it or not. If we can't even ingrain something as basic as digital into large corporate budgets and marketing departments, we are literally... We're going to become extinct as South African marketers. We're going to become incredibly irrelevant. And you see that even in the structure of the companies. They'll make digital marketing maybe 2 people.
Yeah,
the youngest ones.
Like
they'll manage
account.
the social media. It's like, that's not really how it should be, because you should have a digital first strategy. I believe all companies should have a digital first strategy now. Like you said, everybody's here.
Digital
They're not here.
first.
Yeah, digital first. So that means more predominant, most of their spend should be on digital before it's on anything else.
Oh, sazodla imali, siyabonga. Thank you, Lebo Lion,
but
siyabonga.
think about it. We're not in the advertising economy anymore. We're in the interest economy, right? So it's all about brands that are able to capture people's interest and then nurture relationships with those people. Yeah. People feel like everything they're seeing is a lie. They feel like companies are shying them, like you said, and there's a lot of rhetoric around that. So how do you create credibility and trust among your customers? Yeah. How do you build a brand that outlives these structures that people say are lying to them? Yeah. And the interesting thing about digital versus traditional media channels and advertising channels is that people perceive digital as open and transparent and democratic, you know? So there's something to be said about brands that are actively playing in that space. It positions them in a certain way to people.
Credibility.
Yeah, I think people think social media is credible. Why? Because they're not on social media for social media. They're on it for the people. Yeah. They're there for Penuel. Sure. They're there for whoever. So because they trust Penuel, social media is a safer space for them.
It almost sounds like you wouldn't really be a champion for celebrity influencers, because they still come from that traditional advertising. This makes my teeth blah blah, and you're like, no, people actually want a lady who's going to be like, yo guys, I've been struggling. Yeah. And I found this thing. It may not work for you, but it worked for me. Yes. So try it out, kind of. Celebrities are still very much acting when they influence, even on digital.
I think that there's room for everybody. Okay. I think celebrities play a very important role. I think influencers play a very important role. And I think the average person who happens to be seen in these spaces also plays a role. But the way the strategies are designed are the problem. Sure. Because these celebrities, when they say these scripts, it looks like it's painful for them. Yeah. It looks like they don't really want to say it, but the bag is there, right? Sure. So the problem is not them. It's the fact that these companies don't want to relinquish control. Sure. They're so scared of allowing people to be themselves that they'd rather script their identity. Yeah. And that's when the campaign doesn't work. Sure. So a lot of corporates are measuring the ROI of digital based on the mistakes they are making. Yeah. And then saying digital doesn't work. When actually digital works very well, right? But they just need better strategies, and they need to collaborate with the people in the space instead of telling them what to do.
I fully agree with you.
Yeah, a celebrity on Instagram when they're doing a live is not the same celebrity on a TV ad, and their audience knows them. Yeah. Right? So let them be who they are. In fact, they're the easiest to work with, because if you just say, here's man, take this bottle, drink it in your live, done. There's heavy collateral there. There's heavy, profits that you can make just from that association of them holding it in their life without saying anything about the bottle.
Facts.
So I don't know why so many brands are afraid to play, And I think it also, if you look at Africa and the culture of Africa, people, job security is a thing.
Yeah.
People want to keep their jobs,
Correct.
right? And then you find that in marketing spaces, we have a very weird distribution of power. There are lots of racial things going on there.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people who end up becoming decision makers might be the people who follow the script and not necessarily the people who create the most brilliant work.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Because somebody's trying to micromanage this entire process,
Correct.
right? And there's no need to. So I think that we are stunting the growth of our marketing industry by continuing to do it the way that we're doing it.
One of my saddest realizations has been meeting marketing teams of big brands and realizing it's young black people. And you're like, what the fuck campaign rubbish is this?
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, I was like, oh, okay, so some of these companies are owned by, let's say how it is, like old white people. And some of them who grew their businesses working with old white-owned ad agencies. And they're like, look, these are my boys. I'll always give them business regardless. The fact that they had to transform and hire black kids. And I'm like, so you guys, like a bunch of black girls sat and you are like, we are approving this.
They didn't approve
You know, it's one of the conversations we need to have. The second one is like, you need to give a shout out to Talipani Banks. He runs a company, I think it's digital marketing called Analytics X.
Yes.
I
They're
know
more
they're trying to
research than
disrupt
digital marketing.
Hey, I'm not sure about their business, but I'll say this. One of the conversations I've had with him, because I think even he still doesn't get it yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love him very much and I love the work he's doing, and I want to try and help promote everything he's doing because I just like him.
Okay.
I've had a conversation with Slicker.
Okay.
My brother's gone into media. He used to be in teaching and then he went into media. And I keep trying to tell them this thing of trying to copy and paste traditional marketing and then come to us as podcasters and then be like, Donna, just say this. I'm like, this is not even who I am. And luckily, I don't need the money and I don't need to secure the bag. But I'm like, if you guys are willing to sit and have a conversation and get me to taste your thing and like it, or not even like it, but be like, I drink it. I'm like, Donna, after taste, but I support this pan. And people are like, you know what? Penuel said in after taste, he was right. But I'll also support it for the same reason he's supporting, to create jobs or whatever. You're like, if you guys will let me do that. But if you're going to let me lie, then you guys are doing the exact same thing and you won't understand why this thing trended where someone was making a random video that they weren't even paying attention. They were holding this thing.
Exactly.
And this thing where you guys pumped tens of millions flopped is because you guys are not listening. And you're coming with that same, let's call it old white, or let's just say traditional mindset of just, Donna, we want to bring money to your podcast. If you can just product placement and what. I'm like, can I say something? I'm like, I don't. So I just want to say, Lebo, you're like, what the fuck is he doing? If we're going to speak about it, can I tell you a story?
Sure.
So I grew up, I remember my grand's place. We didn't have water. And we used to fetch water with like a wheelbarrow and what. And later on, I remember joking and saying, one day I was with Tengamans. And I was like, it'll never fucking happen. And then we started buying water and I was like, this is bullshit. And this is a scam. And I refused to buy water for years.
Okay.
And I remember this one day, we were thirsty and we were in this country and the water tasted horrible. And I drank this water. And I swear to you, like, legit story, I was like, this actually tastes like the best water I've ever drank. And I was like, I don't know if maybe I'm drunk or maybe I'm in a dodgy. People will listen to that story. And I get to tell like an authentic story about my life. And people are like, what water is this? Versus, guys, please don't forget, when you get your order, when you're thirsty, you must like, I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yes.
But if you guys are not willing to listen, rather go work with like your celebrity people who don't mind the script. But it's a conversation, especially if we're speaking alternative media, alternative conversation. It cannot be that after you and I have unpacked like a scandal and something serious, then I just go and become fake right there.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, now I don't know if that previous thing was also acting. Guys, don't forget to click on, please buy, blah, 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 please click on the, and you're like, I don't know now. versus the next person who's like, I don't promote anything. And that's what people like myself loved about Joe Rogan. He wasn't promoting fuck all. He didn't even monetize his YouTube for the longest time. He was like, I'm not here for that. So I'm not even trying to make money from you. I'm just trying to have a chat. If you like it, cool. When they gave him money, they tried to throttle and censor him, especially around COVID and those things. And luckily, the Spotify guys were like, we got this guy for his credibility, and we're not going to get you guys to censor him. And it's an important conversation, especially if we want to compete globally.
I don't believe that good marketers would censor anybody. Because if you really know what you're doing, you understand that A, people are at the core of everything we do as marketers, and B, things should be based on strategy. So that strategy should have a heavy research part to it, where you research Penuel's podcast. Yeah. You see who Penuel is. You understand what he does. So by the time you approach Penuel, you know what he's going to say no to and yes to. You should know. Those are basic things.
Blows my fucking mind when they come to me and they're like, if you could just switch off the swearing and
exactly.
don't mention the cult thing. And I'm like...
Exactly. They're basically saying, if you could just not give us the results, it's okay. Jeez. We don't mind. Because that's what I hear. That's what I'm hearing.
We don't want to succeed.
We don't want to succeed. We don't want the results. So could you just... And I think that's the fear thing coming through, where the people who are responsible for executing campaigns are not the ones making the decisions.
Yeah.
So the ones who make the decisions will just, call out the ones who execute when their decisions don't work. And that's the problem. But also, and this is a contentious thing, there are lots of people who are marketers who shouldn't be marketers, who are only doing it because that might be the job they got or that's a connect that they got. And so they're not really doing marketing. They're doing whatever's supposed to be done, but that's not marketing, you know. The lady who does a lot of my brand management, she's always shocked at the emails that I get. She'll say to me, how come people email you like you're not Lebo Lion, who knows everything about marketing? Like, they'll come to you and say trade exchange. They'll come to you and give you a campaign that doesn't make sense. And when you ask questions, they're shocked. And we're like, how have they not done their research?
Yeah,
how can they come to me and speak to me this way? So there's a very big problem in the marketing industry, because it is a valuable industry, but the right people aren't in the right places in this industry.
You owe me a second sit down. I don't know if on your platform or on mine again.
Yeah.
I'd like us to speak about, frankly, if possible.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll also do a bit of research. How much influencers make? I think that would be very valuable to people out there.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the comparison between how much the SABC charges, clients, brands, how much DSTV MultiChoice charges, how much maybe a YouTube or Google AdSense charges. To just wrap our heads around for young kids. I mean, I think if you have could be a Facebook page with like 3,000 followers.
Yeah.
Those 3,000 followers could be people in your town, city that are huge decision makers. And there's a way that if you market and it gets like 10 views, it's like those 10 views, bro, are going to actually sign 5 million rand because of this guy. And for people to have an understanding, because I realize a lot of people are pricing and trying to secure the bag. And when you ask them, what is this price based on? They can't tell you. They'll be like, no, but I saw one bunny, their rate card is what. You're like, yeah, but what's it based on?
Yeah.
And that's where the conversation of ROI needs to come in. And I think some of us are smart enough to have a more in-depth conversation about, look, this is what you're going to get from me.
Yes.
This is the return. So don't come and wave some money in my face, because that's what you guys are used to, and think I'm going to get excited. I kind of know my worth, because, I once listened to Lebo Lion, Chilling with Pen, and they were explaining exactly how this thing works. And I looked at the quality of my audience. I looked at accounts that are run by bots. And I realized I'm actually a commodity.
Yes.
So I'm going to make you guys money, probably this much.
Yeah.
And I think what I deserve is about this much. And so I'm hoping we can do that. And then to speak about something that you are hammering in, the hustling and the selling culture and the removing of pride.
Mm-hmm.
We have got unemployed youth. We have got people sitting at home, and it's like you are able-bodied and you're not even selling anything.
Yeah.
You don't even need to get out of your couch. You can look into drop shipping. You can find people that are selling stuff and just download, save their ads, post them on your space, and then put a markup or put commission, or tell someone, look, Don, if I can push, like, we just need to have a selling culture in this country. And those things I hope we'll unpack when we sit again.
Absolutely.
Any closing words? Lebo Lion.
Any closing words? Jeez, it's so weird being
men
on
rule
the
the
other
world.
side.
Men rule the world. Men are great. We love men.
I don't know
and
about
women
that.
must learn to be submissive and do the right thing.
I do not co-sign that message.
I think that's what she said.
No. Don't get me wrong. I love men. I was raised by a very amazing man.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to hate men, right? But I think the message I'd like to leave people is you can learn from everybody. Yeah. You can literally learn from every single person around you. Don't limit the possible opportunities and relationships you could have because you judge somebody or because you're coming at them in a way that doesn't make sense. Like, you can learn from anyone and that could change your life. Yeah. So always be open, always be curious, and don't have an ego because it's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah. Every person you meet is a potential teacher. Every space you're in is a potential classroom.
There you go.
Lebo Lion, thank you very much for joining us on Dope Conversations.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers.